I'm Brett Kaschinske with Lansing Parks and Recreation. I'm here today with Paul Brogan of Rivertown Adventures, and we are going to get out and do some winter recreation today. It's a beautiful sunshiny day. I'm able to get out of the office. We are here at Kruger Landing along the Red Cedar, just on the east side of Aurelius, and we've already seen the eagle flying around in this area. We have ducks just to the east of us down the river there as well. And we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can enjoy winter recreation in the parks, whether it be on the river or on the river trail. We're going to talk about some of the new things that we have coming on to the water trail, or the Blue Ways Trail as we call it. As we put in, this year we'll have 3 new canoe kayak launches. One right here at Kruger Landing, one at Morris Park, below the dam there at Morris Park, and then the third one would be at the City Market, which is where your operations are based out of. And so we want to talk about safety, safety along the river. Not only during the winter, obviously, we need to take some special precautions here, but also year-round. And that's one of those things that the canoe kayak launches are really meant to do, is give safer entry and safer exit for you when you're in your canoe or kayak. So, Paul, welcome aboard here.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about this area of river that we're on here right now, and some ways for people to be safe during wintertime recreation on the river.
All right, yeah, it's great to be here at Lansing Parks and Recreation. We're always excited to be out here in nature's playground. We are at Ralph Trigo Park, one of Lansing's most beautiful parks. If you really have a chance to walk the trails, get out to Fidelity Lake, walk along the banks of the Red Cedar here. This is a beautiful natural area, and we're gonna get out here and explore today. It's really nice because we've had a lot of snowfall. It is sunny today, it does feel warmer, but the snowfall is really gonna show us some really nice snow-capped river banks, and hopefully some still hanging from the trees too, so you can get some real cool views there. And of course the wildlife here at Trigo Park is always something else to see. We know we have the bald eagles still nesting in the area after several years, so that's very exciting to see that they've really taken on to this environment. And with no leaves in the trees, we might get a chance to see those wings flying below the treetops. So pretty excited about that. And you touched on safety. You know, safety is a huge thing when it comes to paddling, to being on the river. These easy launches that we're looking at hopefully getting installed this summer are really going to help with those beginning paddlers getting on and off the water safely. And that's very important, because you'll find that one of the top ways people fall into the river when they're boating is getting in or getting out. It's not really necessarily when they're on the river. So if we can take that away and make it a safer access, then that's always a great thing.
One of the things we talked about is when you're doing winter canoeing or kayaking, it's not really the time to explore new area, new territory. And so we're on an area here that we know about. We know that there are no hazards in this area that we're going to be going through, because this isn't the time in the winter to do a portage around a log jam or try and go over or through any one of those. So this is a barrier-free right now area of the river. So we're looking forward to it. I'm ready to get out of the office. Actually, I'm out of the office already, but excited about it. And so let's get on the river.
Let's go have some fun.
So this was one of my goals here, is to do some winter recreation, and we're out on the Red Cedar now, heading east here towards Red Cedar Golf Course, towards MSU, right in Trigo Park here. Paul, talk a little bit about the trips that you offer. I know you don't really do a lot in the winter, but the summer trips that you offer for folks out
We
here.
offer plenty of options on the Red Cedar and the Grand River. It's a great trip starting down on the campus of Michigan State, I should say upriver on the campus of Michigan State, and paddling the Red Cedar down here to Kruger Landing and then finishing downtown. We kind of call that route the Spartan Country route. You get a really cool view of campus, the stadium, football stadium, even the baseball stadium, the trees, the fauna, all that. It's just very beautiful. And you kind of really takes you out of the element of the city and puts you right in nature, which is so great. So that's one of the trips that we do offer. Our most popular option, which is great for the beginning paddler, is our trip here. It starts at Kruger Landing, which is just where we put in, and you take that downriver to the Lansing City Market. That one has a great options as far as having some scenes of nature and then getting down into the city and finishing with an urban experience on the water. And that's great for beginners because most of that section of the river is pretty slow moving. It's fairly easy to get in, and of course our staff will help you get in and out of the water with ease to make that a nice experience for you.
Now I know we don't do a lot, meaning the city of Lansing isn't able to do a lot in terms of dedicating resources to removing log jams from the river. And that's something that you have dedicated a lot of time to as Rivertown Adventures, to organizing folks to get out and do cleanups along the river.
Yep.
What are some of the ways that folks can get involved with those volunteer opportunities?
Yeah, we're really excited about the Lansing Earth Project, which is something that we've kind of pioneered last year. Since we've been on the river, as far as Rivertown Adventures being in business, we have seen many opportunities throughout the years to do more cleanups, to keep the waterways more clear. And with the Lansing Earth Project, what we do is we organize about 15 to 20 different river, park, and trail cleanups throughout the year, throughout the spring, summer, and fall months. And volunteers can simply sign up through an email list, and we'll let them know where they can come and help clean the river. Some of the things that are involved with doing the river cleanups are we'll give you a boat, we'll give you a trash picker, we'll give you the trash bags and the gloves, and of course your life vest. And we'll hit a stretch of river, maybe just for about an hour, and we'll just kind of comb the banks of the river and try to find just pieces of debris, stuff that we can safely get to, and we'll throw it in the trash bag, and then we'll have a little trash barge that follows along, and when we get full trash bags, we'll throw that in the trash barge and keep moving along the river. So not everyone wants to get in the river, though, to do a cleanup, but still people want to be involved. And so that's what's great about the Lansing Earth Project, as well as the Friends of the Lansing Regional Trails, which we partnered with a little bit last year. And so if folks want to stay on land and help give back to nature and our natural environment here, we can just walk the trail or walk to certain parks and clean trash around those parks, clean up different debris and branches overhanging on the trail. You know, we want to make it safer for the people that bike and walk the trail too. So we have those opportunities available for volunteers. And the Lansing Earth Project, basically if you go to lansingearthproject@gmail.com, send us an email, we'll get you on the email list, and then you'll be updated on all the wonderful cleanup opportunities that we provide throughout the spring, summer, and fall months.
So the bridge behind me is a bridge that we are going to be repairing this year along the river trail. We have two bridges. One is at Potter Park Zoo, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. The other one is the first railroad bridge east of Aurelius. And we are going to be putting some culverts in this area here, so it won't be as much bridge, but this is a total replacement. And again, this is a bridge that we have funded through the Ingham County Parks and Trails millage. So that's a millage here that you're going to see a lot of work coming on board. And we really enjoy the fact that we're able to use these funds and that the citizens of the county voted for this to be able to have all these amenities. So this is something we talked about, the canoe kayak launches that are going to be coming on board. That's a two-part process. One is with the DNR Trust Fund grant, and that did a lot of our river trail over the years. And the other is the Ingham County Parks and Trails millage. And so folks are going to see their tax dollars at work here in terms of millage projects. So we have the two bridges, we have lots of asphalt repairs along the river, we have some bank stabilization projects, and then also on there is obviously pavement repairs, particularly along this area of trail here, which is again east of Aurelius, from there all the way to Clippert. That is one of our oldest areas of the trail, and we're going to be doing a lot of pavement repairs in there. But this bridge right behind me here is scheduled for repair, not the overall larger bridge, but the little one under it that is for the river trail. So this is an area here that we had a lot of log jams because of the number of abutments or pilings here in the river. This is a rail bridge. Again, it's the first one that is east of Aurelius. And Nate and Paul, I know you guys did a cleanup effort here and removed some of it. It sounds like the railroad was in on some of that, getting it, but now it is completely log-free.
Log-free, yeah. It's really cool to see this area being taken care of, because you know we've touched on safety when it comes to paddling, and one of those things that we need to be concerned about is when we have hazards and large logs blocking the pathway for paddlers to get through, and those create strainers, those create very dangerous situations, especially for beginning paddlers, because you're not really sure how to react when the water rushes into big logs that are trapped against a bridge. So through the efforts of Lansing Parks Recreation and contacting the railroad company, they were able to come out here and remove these 20, 30-foot logs that were blocking this bridge, and really took that safety hazard right out of the equation. And now, as you said, it's clear in all these channels underneath these railroad bridges. And that's what you'll find here too. One of the fascinating things that I find with paddling through the Lansing area is the fact that we have so many different railroad bridges, and every one of them is a little unique. You know, everyone was built in a different decade. Some of them are still in operation, some of them aren't, but it gives you something completely different than, let's say, paddling up north in the great wilderness, and we just don't get that type of dichotomy of urban transport and nature intersecting. So it's really cool to see. But you know, these types of things are what we have to look out for when we have log jams and such. You know, we've got to figure out a way to continue to make things safe. And over the last several years and over the next several years, all that's going to continue to happen. So it's really exciting to see.
And I know that's something that Rivertown has been involved with, also Lansing Oar Paddle Club. These are areas we don't have to remove every stick from the river. A lot of times you get that opening, and then Mother Nature and the river will open it up even more. So it's about getting those areas cleared up a little bit, and then usually they open right up. Sometimes you need equipment and machinery. You need a towing company with cables to come in, because it is a rather large tree, or rather large number of trees that have fallen across the river. But oftentimes we can take care of it with just the staff that we have and volunteers that we have.
Right, yep. And we always have to be safe when we're looking at those things too, because you know, it's fun to come out here and thinking you can get a chainsaw and have some fun ripping up some wood, but really you have to be very careful about the way you do things. And there are some guidelines and some DNR policies to follow when it comes to breaking up, you know, logs. We have to be very aware of the natural life that actually is below the water here, the fish and the ecosystem is there. We don't want to damage that, you know, as we remove logs. So you're right, you know, clear a pathway and then let nature, you know, take its course, and they'll clear the wood the rest of the way, and on we will be paddling.
Paddle on.
Paddle on.
Paddle on. Talk a little bit about, I know there's been some races, red pedal, along here from MSU.
Yeah, very exciting. This year there's going to be two different kind of races, you might say, that engage the water and the trail system. Our red paddle kayak race, which will be in August this year, that is a time trial style race. Racers begin up near the old Red Cedar Golf Course off Kalamazoo Street, right under the bridge there, and they paddle all the way down to the city market. So everyone's timed. Racers are released every 30 seconds, and it's a really fun and different style of race. And what's great about that is the proceeds of the race go to benefit the Friends of the Lansing Regional Trails. So that money's staying local right here to help protect the trails, or to help improve the trails in any sort of way. The other event that we are partnering with the Capital Collective on is a race called the Dirty Feet Adventure Race. And this is a 6-hour race, actually. It starts at Patriarch Park in East Lansing. But racers are challenged to go all over the city, biking, canoeing, running, climbing, who knows what they're going to have to get into, but essentially it's a scavenger hunt style race. So if you're that adventurous type that really likes to get out there and challenge yourself, the Dirty Feet Adventure Race is going to be something that you're going to get a part of. And same with that, the proceeds of that also benefit the Friends of the Lansing Regional Trails. So 2 awesome adventure races coming to Lansing this year. And we should see more and more of that as the years go on here, as we activate the river more.
Yeah, those are, you know, everybody talks about when they talk about canoe races, it's usually on the ensemble and the, I guess I would call it professional races. Yeah. But these are something for everybody to get involved with, and And we've seen diversity in recreation, and this is certainly an example of that, because 10 years ago, we didn't have those type of races here in Lansing along the Red Cedar or the Grand, and now we're seeing a lot more of that activity where people are able to do new and different recreational pursuits along the river.
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll find with the red paddle race, we'll have participants anywhere from late teenage years up until the 60s. So what's great about the red paddle is you're really challenging yourself. You're not so much racing against somebody else. You're challenging yourself to, number one, paddle as fast as you can, but number two, just kind of complete the race and enjoy the experience and kind of the bonding you get to have with everybody else that participates in the race.
This is awesome. And snow covering, we got the different view of Crego Park here, which actually at this point jumps over on the other side of the river too here. So it's our largest park at 204 acres. A lot of it is wetland, very wet from the Red Cedar here and just marshy, but we do have Fidelity Lake there, which is that 15-acre lake. But seeing it from the Red Cedar River is pretty cool. That is a bridge that we're redoing here this year. We need a little bit of a permit authorization with the rail company, but that's going to be, we're going to be implementing some culverts in that area and replacing that bridge there. So that's going to be combined with the bridge project just east of Potter Park Zoo, and those bridges will go together. This whole section of River Trail actually is going to see a lot of improvements as far as pavement and asphalt in here, and then again those two bridges, which would be the one by Potter Park Zoo, which we'll talk about in depth when we go see that, and then the one under the first railroad bridge heading east. That's going to see the culverts here. So big year for the trail in terms of improvements, River Trail. The bridge located behind me is a bridge just east of Potter Park Zoo heading towards Aurelius Road. And this is a bridge that we are going to be rehabbing this year. So construction is going to start here shortly. We need a permit from the railroad, well really from the railroad for the other bridge that we talked about there, but we want to combine the two into one construction project to hopefully lower costs in terms of having both bridges together as a bid project. So this bridge here, we are going to, the bridge will extend longer to the east, and therefore it would take it out of the floodway for a longer period of time. So this is an area that floods often and cuts off the river trail. So what we are looking to do is extend that bridge longer towards Aurelius, and therefore that would allow less flooding of this area here, because right behind me is where we have the majority of flooding, where if there's just a little bit of water, that usually is what plugs up. And when you think about the river trail, this really disconnects people from being able to go in a lot of different directions. It's our southern point, it's obviously heading east. This is kind of the center of the whole 10 miles of northern trail, and really connecting to the 6 miles further south. It really disconnects the river. So this is a project that the Friends of Lansing Regional Trails is really for. They helped advocate for it. Again, this is where the Ingham County Parks Millage has come in, and they are a major funder of this. The City of Lansing will also be funding some of it through our own Parks Millage, but this is a big project for us. So this bridge was identified as a bridge that needed a replacement. And while we were going for a replacement of this bridge, we wanted to extend it further to the east, and therefore allowing more use of it, because again, it won't eliminate all flooding here, but it's going to come up about 3.5 to 4 feet above where it is right now here at the end. So when you figure 3.5 or 4 feet more distance from the river, you're going to take out a lot of the flood events. So we're looking forward to that project. Obviously, it's going to shut that down for a little bit. And again, all postings of detours and construction timelines are going to be at the Friends of the Lansing Regional Trails website, and we'll put that on there to announce to people. But there will definitely be this short-term pain this year in 2018 for a long-term gain for many years to come. So we have several accessible canoe kayak launches along the river. One at the confluence or near the confluence of the river at Cherry Hill Park, the other north of the North Lansing Dam at Tecumseh. And we're going to be putting in the 3 new ones, which is Kruger Landing and the City Market, and here at Moores Park. And so right behind me you see the Eckert Power Plant, and this is going to be going offline in 2020. And so a lot of changes coming to this area here in the future, but it is a really cool area to take off from. We have the Moores Park Dam just upriver here a little ways. And so we're going to be putting the launch a little bit away from that. Obviously, we don't want to be right in the flow of the dam. This has a pretty good flow in this area, but I know you guys, Paul, bring some tours out here. Talk about this section of river, and you usually go from here to the City Market, which is probably your shortest trip. Yep,
it's a short trip, about an hour, let's say about a mile, 1.8 miles or so, close to 2 miles from here down to the City Market. This route, this section of the river is really unique in that it really offers that complete urban perspective of a river adventure. Getting in the water right here below the dam, right across from the power plant, and then ending up right down at the City Market across the river from the old power plant, which is now the Accident Fund building. So in between that route, you're traveling down the Grand River, and you pass under several different bridges, rail bridges, road bridges, pipeline bridges, foot bridges. So you really get a cool idea of what it's like to be on the river in the middle of the city.
So you mentioned how long the Grand River was. We were just on the Red Cedar earlier, and I know that's about 70 miles, I believe, starting in Livingston County. And so just great resources that we have here to enjoy, whether it is for winter recreation, as we were out today, or year-round, whether it is canoeing or kayaking, as we did, using the river trail that runs on most of our great water resources that we have here, whether it's the Red Cedar or the Grand, or doing fishing or any of those other recreational opportunities. We know that getting out into the parks on a day like today, I mean, we're getting vitamin D here in February.
Feels good, doesn't it?
So
I love it.
You ask how these funds take place, and we talked a little bit about it before, but one, we applied for a DNR trust fund grant. So the Department of Natural Resources puts trust fund out there, and this is where oil and mineral rights from, it started out in the Pigeon River State Game Area, but those revenues that the state receives were put into a fund that ensures recreation for years to come. And we have benefited from the Natural Resources Trust Fund for many projects throughout the city, and really throughout the state and county as well. They have reached every county in the state with Natural Resources Trust Fund money. So it really does put it in a trust. It's taking money, or it's taking the revenues, those gas revenues, and putting them right back into projects. And each year we apply for state funds for different projects, and this year our 3 canoe kayak launches were approved by the state, or by the Natural Resources Trust Fund Board. They're now before the legislature, and then ultimately they'll go onto the governor's desk for signing. And then we combine that with the Ingham County Trails millage. So 2 grants that really saw the benefits of the water trail and the water experience. And again, where we did have a step-down canoe kayak launch, this allows people very safe entry especially here very close to the dam.
Definitely, yeah. The step down launch is nice for portaging around the dam. However, when we're talking about safety and the future of paddling on these rivers, those easy launches are really going to make it nice and safe for people to get in and out of the river. And again, you can get on the river here on an easy launch and paddle that all the way down to the city market and get off at an easy launch. You can stop at Cherry Hill Park along the way to have a picnic, getting off at an easy launch. So it's very safe the whole route of paddling through the city, and that's kind of the goal here with these easy launches. So very excited to see this coming to Lansing. This is going to be great for everybody that uses the river.
You see a lot of fishermen down here because you have a lot of the salmon run from the Brenke fish ladder all the way up here to this dam at Morris Park, and obviously they're not able to go up the Grand River any further. So you'll see a lot of fishing activity that takes place here. A lot of people wading in there or fishing from shore down here in the Morris Park Dam area. And I know you're involved with the Middle of the Grand group, and they have focused again on restroom facilities, portages. What are some of the other focuses of that group?
Yeah, the Middle Grand River Organization of Watersheds, otherwise known as MGRO. Wonderful paddling community there. And they are doing a lot of those things that you've talked about. The focus is to make river access points, for one, more accessible, offer the amenities that paddlers need when getting in and out of the river, such as restroom facilities, parking, and then easy launches and nice put-ins too. And then going back to what do we see on the river, what helps make the paddling and the journey safe, having bridges labeled with signs so people know where they're at when they're out on the water. So, and then along with those efforts, we teamed up with them last year to bring the Lansing Earth Project to light. So basically what the Lansing Earth Project is, it's essentially it's a way to have a stronger community and nature bond, bringing people to nature to help them find a way to give back to the community. So we're talking about river cleanups and park cleanups and trail cleanups, all the things that can affect our fresh water. We want to get out there and bring the volunteer force out to help clean these sections up. So we created the Lansing Earth Project along with MGRO, and we will have probably 15 to 20 different park, trail, and river cleanups that the community can get involved in and really find a way to give back this year.
So there is 3 areas that the Grand River has been split up into by the state, the Lower Grand, Middle Grand, and Upper Grand. And it is kind of neat when you get over to the west side of the state to Grand Haven to know that right here in Lansing, that's part of that. And that flows out into Lake Michigan, and it's a very, very cool area. And I know that group is involved with traversing some of that entire Grand River.
Yes, yeah, there are some cool events that take place. I think there's the Grand Adventure Race that is every 10 years. A group of paddlers gets together and paddles the entire Grand River, which is, 250 miles or so, from the start of the Grand River down near the Jackson area all the way out to Lake Michigan. I think it takes them a week or 2 weeks to do it. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. And then you have the Hugh Heward Challenge, which is also a paddling challenge that takes place over the course of several days, and they cover about 50 miles of the river there too. So it's cool. The Grand River is special in that it is Michigan's longest river, and it does flow right to the fresh waters of Lake Michigan. So it's important that we are protecting that and we are utilizing it the right way, because it's a major source of recreation in Michigan.
And we were on the Red Cedar earlier, and I know that's about 70 miles. I think that begins in Livingston County there, and daylights into the Grand River at River Point Park, right at the confluence there, right near 496. So beautiful system. We want you to make sure that you're getting out and enjoying it, whether it is winter recreation or whether it is all year. This great resource that we have right along the banks of the Grand River, and with the Lansing River Trail running right alongside it. So here at the city market, and this is usually where a lot of your trips end, at this location. Another place where we're going to be putting in the accessible canoe kayak launch right behind me here. So we have the city market, we have the Lansing Center, we have the accident fund, really the urban center of the downtown as far as the river goes. And so this is where a lot of the trips end here. And we're going to be, so parking for this would be right here at the city market, and it would allow you to get your canoe or kayak out there, or usually this is the end of the destination for your trips.
Sure, yeah. A lot of folks come down here and bring their own boats down and put in right here and just paddle up, maybe up to Moore's Park and turn around and come back, or if they're going on an extended trip downriver, they'll hit the dam in Old Town and go around that and continue the way on down to Tecumseh Park, where there's another easy launch right there too. So this is a very popular destination, not only for the customers coming out here to rent kayaks, but also those that bring their own boats down here. Every year more and more activity comes down here. And when we talk about an easy launch being right down in this location, I mean, it is an economic driver because people will come down here, visitors of Lansing will come down here and see how accessible the river is and how much the city really cares about making sure that it is a safe place to paddle. You know, an example is in 2017, Rivertown Adventures had customers from 47 different states and from 7 different countries. So we know that not only does the community here enjoy this sense of place down here in downtown, but our visitors that come to Lansing, whether they're here for an event at Michigan State or at the convention center or from some state functions at the offices downtown, they come out here and they want an experience. And so having an accessible launch down here is just going to be wonderful for them.
And this is an area here that we are partnering with the Community Foundation, and we're expecting to see a lot of change in this area, not only with the launch here, but really the focus of their efforts is from 496 all the way to the fish ladder, and talking about some projects that will take place in that area and some possible funders there for it. We see Marketplace 2 behind us in the background there, and a lot of new residents at that area as well. So behind me you'll see some of the signs that we installed last year. This is the art from Ben Graham, and these signs were actually in Art Prize in Grand Rapids, and we dedicated these last year. They were installed along the river trail. And then I know you've been involved with a little bit the project that we're looking forward to this year in 2018 along the river. Talk a little bit about that project.
I believe it's called Art Path. The Lansing Art Gallery is really trying to find the funding to put behind this project. It's going to involve 10 public art projects along the river trail, anywhere from Moore's Park down to Old Town. So there'll be art pieces along the trail. Some of them may involve bridges, some of them might involve lighting, others might be murals. Who knows what to expect, but we're going to have some wonderful things to look at along the trail. It's going to be a 3-month project in 2018 here, so when you come down on the river trail, you're going to see some new things, and then hopefully, you know, that's just a catalyst to getting more art down along our trail. Again, that's one of those things that connects our community and creates that bond, is having art and creating that sense of place for us on the trail here.
And so we've had some temporary art like here or like projects before along the river trail, and then we have those permanent structures like you can see in the background, the Inspiration statue back there as well, the ribbon. So we do have those things, and again, it's always changing. Things are always changing along the river trail, additions there, new buildings going up, improvements, art, etc. So things are really moving in a positive direction as far as the riverfront improvements in the downtown area.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we're really excited to see all the positive changes happening, and the city and Parks and Rec really embracing these opportunities that we have down here. And we're going to have a lot of happy, smiling faces for years to come, I have to say.
So we hope you've enjoyed this segment as we took a look at a little bit of winter recreation on a great day to be out, sun shining in my face. Temperatures here today are in the 40s. Yeah. So Paul, we appreciate all that you do and coming out and helping us out today and talking about that. But we want you to, whether it's getting on the river trail, getting on the actual river, get out and enjoy these wonderful resources that we have right here in Lansing.